Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel. Mark Consuelos' diagnosis revealed as Kelly&Ripa breaks down emotionally. The morning sun rose over Manhattan like it always did, golden, confident, unaware of... Outside the studio, fans gathered with coffee cups and hopeful smiles, expecting laughter, banter, and the familiar warmth that had defined live for decades. Inside, however, something felt different. The air was heavy, as though the walls themselves knew what was coming. Kelly&Ripa stood backstage, staring at her reflection in the mirror. She had faced cameras for most of her life. She had mastered the art of smiling through exhaustion, through grief, through everything the world never saw. But today, her hands trembled. Behind the curtain, the red light blinked on. They were live. Mark Consuelos usually waited for her with a grin, playful, reassuring, that unmistakable sparkle in his eyes. Today, his chair was empty. Kelly walked onto the set alone. The applause came automatically, trained and loyal, but it faded quickly when viewers noticed her face. Her smile tried to form, but it cracked before it could settle. "Good morning," she began, her voice already unsteady. I wasn't sure how to do this." The silence that followed felt endless. The diagnosis no one expected. Just 3 weeks earlier, life had been normal, or at least as normal as life could be for two people who lived under constant public attention. Mark had joked about a lingering fatigue, brushing it off as age, long hours, stress. Kelly had scolded him, half serious, half laughing, to see a doctor. He finally did. The call came late at night, the kind of call that changes everything. The doctor's voice was careful, too careful. The diagnosis wasn't something dramatic or obvious at first glance. It wasn't the kind of illness that announces itself loudly. It was quiet, insidious, something that hid behind strength and charisma until it could no longer be ignored. Mark listened without interrupting. When the doctor finished, he said only one thing: "Don't tell Kelly yet." A husband's silent battle. Mark had always been the strong one, the protector, the man who made everyone else feel safe simply by standing near them. He didn't want fear to be the first thing Kelly felt when she looked at him. So he smiled. He cooked dinner. He joked with the kids. He showed up to work, slightly paler, slightly thinner, but still Mark. Only late at night, when Kelly slept beside him, did the weight crash down. He stared at the ceiling, wondering how many mornings like this he had left. His greatest fear wasn't pain, it was breaking her heart. Kelly's intuition. Kelly knew something was wrong long before the words were spoken. She noticed how Mark paused before climbing the stairs, how his laughter came a second too late, how he held her hand a little tighter, like he was memorizing the feeling. One night, she turned to him in bed. "Talk to me," she whispered. Mark closed his eyes. That was the moment he knew he couldn't protect her from the truth anymore. The night everything changed. They sat at the kitchen table long after midnight, the house quiet, the city humming beyond the windows. Mark spoke slowly, carefully, as if choosing the right words might soften the blow. Kelly listened. At first, she didn't cry. She asked questions, she took notes. She went into survival mode, the mode that had carried her through years of balancing career, motherhood, and public life. Then Mark said, "I'm scared," and Kelly broke. She slid out of her chair and knelt beside him, sobbing into his chest, clutching his shirt like letting go meant losing him forever. "I can't do this without you. I won't." Mark held her, his own tears silent but relentless. The children. Telling the kids was harder than any diagnosis. They gathered in the living room, the same place that had seen birthdays, holidays, and countless moments of joy. Kelly tried to speak, but her voice failed her. Mark took over. He explained it gently, honestly, without false promises but without despair. Their children listened, stunned. One reached for Kelly's hand, another hugged Mark so tightly it stole his breath. In that moment, Mark realized something painful and beautiful. He wasn't fighting for himself anymore. He was fighting for them. Kelly faces the camera. Back on the live set, Kelly wiped tears from her cheeks, no longer pretending. "Mark wanted me to be honest," she said, looking directly into the camera. "This diagnosis was unexpected and terrifying." She paused, struggling to breathe. "But if there's one thing I've learned, it's that love doesn't disappear when things get hard. It shows up louder."